Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 42 in the Haikyu series by Haruichi Furudate. This is a series that I have been reading and loving, and I think this volume is a huge turning point for the series. So we're going to dive in and discuss my thoughts and opinions on the series thus far and what I think happened in this volume and my thoughts on it. First of all though, I'm going to assume that you have familiarity with the story thus far. If you need a refresher, I do have reviews of volumes 1 through 41 on my channel, but we're just going to dive in with volume 42. Volume 42 is a continuation of volume 41, naturally, but it is a very direct continuation. Volume 41, our high school team that we are following, Karasuno High School, is in the spring tournament, trying to get to the very top, trying to become the best team there, and they are battling their second game of the day versus a high school Kamo Madai. Kamo Madai has forced the game to a third set, so neither have won in straight sets. They're playing their third set of the day, which actually is their third set of the game, which is the sixth set of the day, so the teams are very exhausted. At the end of volume 41, Hinata actually winds up being pulled out of the game because he is too exhausted. He is too tired to continue playing, and he winds up with a fever, and the coach cannot in good conscience send him back out onto the court. So Karasuno High School is going to have to conclude this game versus Kamo Madai, a very tough high school to beat, without Hinata. I think this was a very difficult choice for the author to make, but I like the fact that there's no safe character with Furudate's writing style, the author Haruichi Furudate's writing style, because even Hinata, the star player, isn't going to be completely safe from everything, and things happen. I feel like it's a very tough call to make plot-wise, but I think it maybe was the right call to make for that time. Hinata has been pushing himself very, very hard, and there is a balance between rest and pushing yourself that you have to achieve as an athlete, and Hinata doesn't quite have that balance, and he overextends himself, leading to him not being able to be there for the conclusion of this final set versus Kamo Madai. This is a very bold choice, and I think once Hinata leaves the game, there's definitely a momentum swing. Kamo Madai knows they have the advantage and they push it, and they just have momentum that you can feel Karasuno just cannot stop. Karasuno is not able to stop Kamo Madai once they get on this momentum, and they are able to take the entire set. This means that Kamo Madai has won, and Karasuno is out of the spring tournament. Karasuno is not able to advance. There's no loser's bracket. It is a single elimination style, which also makes it kind of bittersweet because there are seniors on this team who will not be playing next year, and Hinata was not able to conclude the season or play out the last couple plays with his team during the spring tournament with those seniors who are no longer going to be on that team. This, of course, though, I like that, again, I've mentioned this before, Furudate keeps nothing sacred, so it's not like they're a great team so they're going to win. Even great teams suffer with defeat and loss, so it is interesting to see, and I think that also creates the next scenario, which I'm going to talk about, which is where the turning point comes in. So this very difficult loss that happens in the first half of the volume. So Karasuno is out of the high school tournament, and that actually concludes their high school volleyball year, was my understanding. That was the last event for the year, as sports have seasons and they're going to have to wait for next year. The seniors will now be leaving the team and they have to find a way forward. And I think this left the author with two options. The first is due next year in high school. Hinata has 2 more years of high school left. We can follow Hinata, see what he does in the second year. Maybe he'll get farther, maybe he'll improve his skills, get invited to the training camps he wants, see how he evolves with Kageyama, see how their partnership evolves, and that could be a route that he takes, or he can do some sort of time jump. The problem, and I initially saw this as soon as Karasuno was kicked out of the tournament, and this was something I had been thinking about in previous volumes, where if they leave, what is the author going to do? If they lose this tournament, what is the path the author is going to take? Is the author going to do the next year of high school? And I felt like that would be a very tricky thing to do because the team was built around, the Karasuno High School team was built around these players that we know. Let me see if they're here. Yes. We know all these players that are in this team. We're just familiar with them. That team is so tight-knit that I felt like it would be very, very difficult, or the pivot would have to be made to bring in new players because there'd be new freshmen and the seniors would be gone, and it would just kind of change the dynamic. Of course, that happens with regular sports teams all the time. Older players leave, newer players come on. But I felt like then would you just play through 2 more seasons? And I also had a suspicion that might not happen because the volume we're on is 42 and there's 45 volumes. The second is to do some sort of time jump and to see how these characters maybe are reflecting on volleyball after their time in high school is done, or what happens. And the author chooses the time jump option. I felt like doing a time jump, or I feel like doing a time jump sometimes can be done poorly. I think it's a little bit more challenging. I think Rebuilding the team with new characters would have had its own challenges, but I think overall maybe it would have been the easier option to do. Maybe the author could have stretched this out. I don't know what his publishing agreements were, but maybe he could have stretched it out to 80 volumes and we would have gone through the sophomore, or I don't know what the words are in the Japanese system, year 2, and then maybe year 3, his team, Hinata and Kageyama's team, win the spring tournament. I feel like that could have happened, and while rebuilding the team would have been interesting, I feel like the team would have been rebuilt each year over the players that we know in the core Hinata-Kageyama duo, and that could have been a way. I think the time jump was going to be a little harder to execute, but then you don't have to rebuild this high school team each year, and it may have shortened the series, especially if the author wanted to move on to new projects. So the author does that time jump, and I think he does it quite well. Now it is, of course, a little abrupt. Almost every time jump is. You can't really skip 3 years and not have any sort of bump in the process, and the author does do this time jump to post high school. So Hinata has played through his high school career, Kageyama has played through his high school career, and we're now seeing what these people are doing, what most people are doing after high school. So Kageyama, we'll start with him, has gone on to the professional league in Japan, which is, I want to say V division, we'll just say the pro leagues. Kageyama went on to the pro leagues. Hinata did not initially go on to the pro leagues. He decides to take time to train in Brazil and train on the beach for beach volleyball. He thinks that training on the beach is going to improve his indoor game, although I'm not sure how many people go from beach back to indoor as a pro. I do know some people go from indoor to beach. I'm not sure exactly how that works as a professional, but we're going to see what Hinata does post high school, and as he continues a career, maybe making it as a professional. I do think the time jump, the second half of this volume was just kind of setting up the time jump and what we're going to be doing for the rest of the volumes. I do think that the author took the more difficult path, but I think it was executed well, and therefore I liked it. I was nervous when I saw immediately that he was going to the high school, or not the high school, when he was going to the time jump path instead of the high school year 2 path. I was like, ooh, this was the split I saw coming, and I wasn't sure which one the author was going to take. And when I saw that he was taking the time jump path, I was a little nervous, but then I should have had a little bit more faith because I really do think it was well executed. Some bumps, but by the end of volume 42, I felt like I was into the time jump, and I felt like maybe it was kind of a reasonable path for Hinata to take, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the series holds. If you've read volume 42, I'm guessing you have thoughts and opinions on it. I want to know what you think about this. Do you think that you would have enjoyed the series more if they had continued at high school? Do you think the time jump was a good idea? What did you think about this volume particularly? I just think it's such a turning point in the series that I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you continue watching for the rest of my review of the remainder of the series, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.